Vivian Stone was 27 when she learned that grief doesn't kill you. It just makes you wish it had. Her daughter's name was Emma. She was 4 years old when she died, and her husband made sure she knew it was her fault. She didn't fight back, didn't defend herself, because part of her believed him. So she left, started over, built a life where she didn't want anything, because wanting meant losing. She lasted 2 years. 2 years of silence, safety, numbness, until the night she sent her student's father a nude video she could never unsend. One accidental video, one vulnerable moment, and suddenly, the man she was supposed to avoid wouldn't stop seeing her. And that terrified her more than anything. Because if she let herself want him, if she let herself love him, what happens when grief comes back to collect? What happens to the job and the life she's been building for the last 2 years? Hit that subscribe button and let's get into it. The classroom smelled like crayons and possibility. 23 small desks arranged in neat rows, a reading corner with oversized pillows, and alphabet charts covering every available wall space. Vivian stood at the front, hands clasped, watching parents file in with their children for the first day of school. She'd practiced her smile in the mirror that morning. Warm, but not desperate. Professional, but not cold. The kind of smile that said, I care about your child without saying I'm still learning how to breathe without mine. Miss Stone? A small voice pulled her attention downward. A boy, maybe 7, with dark curls and eyes too serious for his age, stood clutching a Batman lunchbox. He didn't look at her directly, just somewhere near her shoulder. You must be Noah, Vivian said, crouching to his level but keeping distance. Never touch on the first day. Never assume. I'm so glad you're in my class. Noah nodded once, still not meeting her eyes. He's shy? The voice came from behind. Deep, careful, the kind of voice that made you pay attention without trying. Vivian stood, and her breath caught for just a second. Tyler Frey was taller than she'd expected. Dark hair with threads of silver at the temples, expensive watch, clothes that whispered money without shouting it. But it was his eyes that stopped her. Kind eyes, tired eyes, eyes that had seen something break and hadn't quite figured out how to fix it. Mr. Frey, she said, extending her hand, I'm Vivian Stone, Noah's teacher. His handshake was firm, brief. Tyler, and thank you for... He glanced at Noah, who'd migrated toward the reading corner. He's had a rough transition, new school, new neighborhood. I appreciate your patience. Of course. Vivian kept her voice gentle. We'll take good care of him. Tyler's expression shifted. Something grateful, something relieved. I know you will. Another parent appeared, practically vibrating with energy. Tyler, I didn't know Noah was in this class. Madison is too. They can be... buddies! The woman, blonde and polished, touched Tyler's arm with practiced casualness. That's great, Diane, Tyler said, polite but distant. He turned back to Vivian. If there's anything Noah needs, please let me know. Of course. He knelt beside Noah, whispered something that made the boy nod, then stood and left without looking back. Diane lingered. He's wonderful with Noah, isn't he? Such a devoted father. I've been trying to help him adjust since the divorce. It's been hard on him. Her smile was sharp at the edges. I'm Diane Porter, by the way, Madison's mom. I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of each other. I'm sure, Vivian said, already turning toward another student. But she felt Diane's eyes on her for the rest of the morning. The first 2 weeks passed in a blur of names and routines and small victories. Noah slowly emerged from his shell. She also learned that Tyler Frey was nothing like the other wealthy parents. He didn't drop Noah off in a rush, phone pressed to his ear, barking orders at an assistant. He walked his son to the classroom door every morning, made sure Noah had everything he needed, and never made Vivian feel like staff. But Vivian kept her distance, professional, careful, until the grocery store. She was debating between two types of pasta, because apparently this was what her life had become, agonizing over carbohydrates, when she heard Noah's voice. "Dad, can we get the dinosaur-shaped ones?" Vivian turned. Tyler and Noah stood 3 feet away in the pasta aisle, Noah pointing excitedly at a box with cartoon raptors. "We have 6 boxes at home already," Tyler said, amused. "But these are different dinosaurs." "That's very sound logic." Tyler's eyes lifted and found Vivian's. Recognition flickered. "Miss Stone. Hey." "Hi." She felt caught, like she'd been spying. "I didn't mean to eavesdrop." Hard not to when someone's passionately defending dinosaur pasta. Tyler's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and something in his expression tightened. "Sorry. Co-parenting logistics." Noah looked up. "Is Mom coming to see me?" "Saturday," Tyler said, ruffling his son's hair. "She wants to take you to the aquarium." "Really?" Noah's entire face lit up. "Really?" Vivian felt like she was intruding on something private. "I'll let you go. See you Monday, Noah." "Bye, Miss Stone." She moved toward the checkout, but Tyler's voice stopped her. "Hey, Vivian, sorry, Miss Stone." "Vivian's fine," she said, turning back. "Outside of school." "Vivian." He said her name carefully, like he was testing its weight. "Thank you for what you're doing with Noah. He talks about you at home. Says you're his favorite teacher. He's only 7. I might be his only teacher." "Fair point." Tyler smiled, and it transformed his face completely. "Still, thank you." She nodded, not trusting her voice, and left before her hands started shaking. 3 weeks into the school year, Vivian made a decision that would change everything. She'd been, thinking about the tattoo for months. A memorial for Emma. Something permanent. Something that said she existed. She mattered. She wasn't my failure. A small bird mid-flight, forget-me-not flowers woven into its wings. Delicate, hidden. Hers. She stood in her bathroom, phone angled over her shoulder, trying to capture the placement she'd marked in eyeliner. The curve of her shoulder blade extending toward her rib cage. More skin showing than she'd revealed to anyone since Mark left. Pictures didn't capture the spot well, so she settled for a video. One hand holding the phone, the other covering her chest. Once she reviewed the video, she chose her best friend's name, then she typed her caption quickly. "Does this feel right, or am I just trying to prove something?" Hit send. Set the phone down, breathed. Her phone buzzed 30 seconds later. She picked it up, expecting Zoe's enthusiastic approval. Instead, she saw Tyler Frey's name. Delivered. Ready by 11:47 p.m. The air left her lungs. No. She fumbled with the phone, deleting the message with shaking hands. But in her panic, she clicked, "Delete for me," instead of "Delete for everyone." "Fuck!" she screamed, almost slamming her phone into the wall. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Vivian's heart hammered against her ribs. She was probably going to lose her job. He was going to report her. He was going to think she'd done it on purpose, that she was some kind of predator, that she was throwing herself on him. The message came through. "Hi, Vivian. I assume that wasn't meant for me. For what it's worth, it's beautiful. I won't mention this to anyone, and I hope you won't let embarrassment stop you from getting it. Some things are worth the vulnerability." She read it 3 times, almost slapped herself for making such a foolish mistake. Then she lowered herself to the bathroom floor and cried. Not from relief, from something far more dangerous. Shame, maybe. Disgust, too. Because how was she supposed to face him the next school day, knowing he already saw her half naked, and she didn't even bother to delete the video? What would he think of her? Some shameless teacher? Zoe asked her to calm down, told her mistakes happen, but Vivian still crashed out, wondering what Monday would hold for her now. Since it was FaceTime, Zoe shook her head, then finally said, "Don't fret it, girl. Unless he's some mafia dad who claims ownership just from viewing alone, you're probably fine. Honestly, maybe this is the start of one of those billionaire romance stories. Teacher meets dad, sparks fly, and suddenly you're living your best rom-com life. Or who knows? This could be the plot twist that turns your life into a Netflix hit. Worst case, you've just upgraded from teacher to family friend status. Vivian found Zoe's words funny at first, so they laughed it off, convinced that it could have been worse. But then came Sunday night. Vivian couldn't get Tyler out of her mind, especially the fact that he could pass for a mafia dad. So she went online to Google about the famous Tyler Frey, and what she saw, let's just say it made her insides form a knot. Monday morning arrived with the weight of dread. Vivian dressed carefully, conservative blouse, cardigan, every inch of skin covered like armor. She rehearsed what she'd say if Tyler brought it up. "I'm so sorry. It was an accident. It won't happen again." But when Tyler appeared at drop-off, he simply smiled. Small, reassuring, as if nothing had happened. "Morning, Miss Stone." "Morning," she managed. Noah bounded into the classroom, and Tyler left without another word. Just a gaze that lingered a second more than usual. Vivian exhaled, but Noah lingered at her desk, tilting his head in that way he did when he was thinking hard. "Miss Stone, are you okay?" "I'm fine, sweetheart. Why?" "You look worried and sad." Vivian's throat tightened. Children saw everything, didn't they? All the careful walls adults built, and children just walked right through them. "I'm okay," she said softly. "Just thinking about something. My dad says it's okay to be down sometimes. He's sad a lot, too." The confession was so casual, so innocent that it cracked something inside her. "Your dad sounds very wise." "He is." Noah smiled. "He said if you're ever sad, you can talk to him. He's a good listener." "He said that? That's very kind of him." Noah nodded, satisfied, and went to his desk. Vivian sat very still, hands pressed flat against the desktop, and wondered how you were supposed to survive kindness when you'd taught yourself to expect cruelty. 2 days later, the quiet was shattered. Noah had been quiet all morning, withdrawn, not participating, eyes red-rimmed like he'd been crying. Vivian had tried gentle encouragement, but he just shook his head and stared at his desk. Then, during art time, something broke. Another student accidentally knocked over Noah's painting, a careful watercolor of what looked like a family. The paper tore, colors bleeding together into muddy brown, and Noah screamed. Not a tantrum scream, a grief scream. "No, no, no, no," he was sobbing, full-body sobs that shook his small frame. "I want my mom. Where's my mom?" Vivian froze. 22 other children stared, some frightened, some confused. One little girl started crying in sympathy. Vivian's training said to comfort him. Her body refused to move. All she could see was Emma. Emma crying. Emma scared. Emma asking for her in the hospital, and Vivian not being able to fix it, not being able to save her, not being able to take her pain. "Miss Stone?" One of the students tugged her sleeve. "Is Noah okay?" Vivian blinked, forced herself to move. She knelt beside Noah, but her hands hovered uselessly. "Noah, sweetheart, it's okay. We can make another painting. It's okay." But he wasn't listening. He was inconsolable, and Vivian felt like she was drowning. She called Tyler. He arrived in 8 minutes, still wearing a t-shirt and jeans like he'd been working from home. The moment Noah saw him, he launched himself into Tyler's arms. "I want Mom! Why did she leave us?" Tyler held him, patient and steady. "I know, buddy. I know you miss her. It's not fair." "You're right. It's not." Vivian stood in the hallway, watching through the classroom door as Tyler soothed his son with practiced patience. Other teachers passed, glancing curiously, but Vivian couldn't move. Finally, Tyler emerged with Noah in his arms, the boy's face buried in his father's shoulder. Their eyes met. "I'm sorry," Vivian whispered. "You have nothing to apologize for." Tyler's voice was gentle. "This isn't on you. But it felt like it was. It felt like every failure, every loss, every moment she hadn't been enough was written across her face for him to see. His mom, my ex-wife, she left when he was 4, Tyler said quietly. New relationship, new life. She sees him once a month if we're lucky. He's been asking more questions lately. I thought he was handling it, but I should have done better, Vivian said. You did fine. He's 7 and grieving something he doesn't understand. Tyler shifted Noah's weight. I need to take him home. Can you send me his homework? Of course. Tyler started to leave, then paused. Vivian, whatever you're blaming yourself for right now, stop. You're a good teacher. Noah's lucky to have you. He left. Vivian stood in the empty hallway and felt the careful architecture of her life beginning to crack. That night, for the first time in a year, she wept. Not quietly, not neatly. Ugly, gasping sobs that left her throat raw and her chest aching. She cried for Emma, for Noah, for every child or parent who ever asked for someone who couldn't come back. And somewhere in the wreckage, she made a decision. The tattoo parlor was tucked between a vintage bookstore and a coffee shop, exactly the kind of place someone would never find unless they were looking. Vivian had Googled it obsessively, read every review, studied every photo in their portfolio. The artist, a woman named Sienna with sleeve tattoos and kind eyes, greeted her at the door. You must be Vivian. Come on back. The space was surprisingly calm, exposed brick, plants in every corner, soft music playing. Sienna gestured to the chair. So, tell me about this piece. Vivian handed over the sketch she'd drawn and redrawn 100 times. A bird, mid-flight, with forget-me-nots. It's beautiful. Sienna studied it. What's it for? Most people would lie, say it was just pretty, just meaningful in a vague, artistic way. But Vivian was tired of lying. My daughter, she said quietly. She died 2 years ago. She was 4. Sienna's expression softened. I'm so sorry. I need to remember her, but I also need to stop feeling like I killed her. Did you? No, but my husband made sure I thought I did. Sienna nodded slowly. This is going to hurt. I know. I mean really hurt. This placement, the rib cage, it's one of the most painful spots. Vivian met her eyes. Good. Because pain was honest. Pain was real. Pain meant she was still here, still feeling, still capable of surviving something difficult. Sienna set up her station. Then let's begin. The needle touched her skin, and Vivian gasped. But she didn't ask her to stop. For 2 hours she breathed through it. Let the pain ground her. Let it remind her that she was alive, that Emma had been alive, that love and loss could coexist in the same body. When it was done, Sienna wrapped it carefully. You did great. Keep it clean, moisturized. It'll heal in a few weeks. Vivian looked at herself in the mirror, the bandage stark white against her skin. Thank you. Come back if you ever want another one. Vivian almost laughed. Once had nearly killed her. Why would she ever? But then she thought about Tyler's text. Some things are worth the vulnerability. Maybe. Someday. She walked out into the afternoon sunlight, touched the wrapped tattoo through her shirt, and felt different. Not healed, but less hidden. Friday afternoon, Tyler waited by the classroom door after all the other parents had left. Noah was packing his backpack with exaggerated slowness, clearly stalling. Noah, buddy, let's go, Tyler called. But I want to show Miss Stone my Lego spaceship. You can tell her about it on Monday, Noah deflated. Okay. He trudged toward the door, then stopped in front of Vivian. Miss Stone, are you feeling better? Something in Vivian's chest cracked open. I am, sweetheart. Thank you for asking. Good. Because Dad says you're really nice and we should be nice back. Noah. Tyler's expression was caught between embarrassment and amusement. But Noah wasn't done. He also said most people like pizza. Do you? Because we make really good pizza at home. Dad lets me put on the toppings. Vivian's eyes met Tyler's over Noah's head. Tyler mouthed, "I'm sorry." But Noah was looking up at her with such hopeful earnestness that lying felt impossible. "I do like pizza," Vivian admitted. "Then you should come over, right, Dad?" Tyler ran a hand through his hair. "Noah, Miss Stone is probably busy." "Actually," Vivian heard herself say, "I'm not." The words hung in the air. Tyler's expression shifted. Surprise? Something careful? Something that looked dangerously close to hope. "You don't have to," he said quietly. "I know. It's just pizza, at our place. Noah will be there the whole time. No pressure, no... I just thought you might like a night where you don't eat alone." Vivian should say no, should maintain boundaries, should remember that this man had seen her half-naked and vulnerable, and that crossing this line was dangerous in 100 different ways. But she was so tired of saying no to everything. "What time?" Noah cheered. Tyler smiled. Small, genuine, devastating. 6? I'll text you the address." "Okay." They left. Noah, chattering excitedly about pizza toppings and whether Miss Stone liked olives. Contentious, apparently. Vivian sat at her desk in the empty classroom, heart racing, and wondered what the hell she'd just agreed to. Her phone buzzed. A message from Tyler. "For the record, I didn't put him up to that. He's been asking about you all week." Vivian smiled before sending. "It's fine, really." Tyler's response came in. "If you change your mind, no hard feelings. I mean that." She should change her mind. Should text back right now and make an excuse. Instead, she typed, "See you at 6," and hit send before she could stop herself. Okay, pause for a second. Vivian just agreed to go to a billionaire's house for dinner, alone, with his son as the only chaperone. This could go 100 different ways. Before we find out what happens at 6 o'clock, hit that subscribe button if you're as invested in this story as I am. I post deeply emotional romance stories every day, and trust me, you don't want to miss where this is going. Also, drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from. I love connecting with you all from around the world. All right, let's see what happens when Vivian steps into Tyler's world. Vivian sat in her car outside Tyler's house for 6 full minutes, hands gripping the steering wheel like it might save her life. The house wasn't what she'd expected. No mansion, no ostentatious display of wealth. Just a modern 2-story home with clean lines and warm lights glowing through floor-to-ceiling windows. A child's bike lay abandoned on the front lawn. Wind chimes hung from the porch, singing softly in the evening breeze. It looked like a home, not a museum, not a statement. A home. Her phone buzzed. Tyler's message read, "You okay out there? Noah spotted your car from the window. He's vibrating with excitement." Vivian laughed despite herself, then stepped out of the car before she could overthink it further. Tyler opened the door before she could knock. He was barefoot, wearing jeans and a navy Henley, hair slightly mussed like he'd been running his hands through it. Behind him, Noah bounced on the balls of his feet. "Miss Stone, you came." "I did. And outside of school, you can call me Vivian if you want." Noah tested the name silently, lips moving, then grinned. "Vivian, that's pretty." "Come in," Tyler said, stepping aside. "Fair warning, Noah's been setting the table for 20 minutes, and there may be more forks than strictly necessary." The interior was exactly like the exterior. Warm, lived in, expensive without being cold. Hardwood floors, overstuffed furniture, and drawings pinned to the refrigerator with dinosaur magnets. A Lego city sprawled across the coffee table like a tiny civilization. "I built that," Noah announced, pointing at the Lego construction. "It has a fire station and a zoo and a pizza place because pizza is important." "Very important," Vivian agreed, crouching to examine his work. "This is incredible, Noah. You even have streetlights." "Dad helped with those. My hands are too small for the tiny pieces." Tyler emerged from the kitchen carrying plates. Dinner's almost ready. Noah, can you show Vivian the porch? Noah grabbed her hand without hesitation and tugged her toward the back of the house. The moment his small fingers wrapped around hers, Vivian's breath caught. She hadn't held a child's hand since Emma. Noah didn't notice her hesitation. He pulled her through the sliding glass doors onto a terrace that overlooked the city. Light sparkled below like fallen stars, and the sky was deepening into twilight. See? You can see everything from here. Dad says when I'm older, we can get a bigger telescope. Vivian forced herself to breathe, to be present. That would be amazing. Do you like space? Noah asked. I do. Me too. Dad says space is big enough for all our questions. Such a strange, profound thing for a 7-year-old to say. But then, Noah had learned early that some questions didn't have easy answers. Tyler appeared with wine glasses. Noah, go wash your hands for dinner. Okay, Noah zoomed back inside. Tyler handed Vivian a glass. Sorry, he doesn't have an off switch when he's excited. Don't apologize. He's wonderful. They stood at the railing, city sprawling below them, and the silence felt surprisingly comfortable. This view, Vivian said softly. It must be nice, having all this space to breathe. It's too big for just us, Tyler admitted. I bought it thinking we'd fill it with life. Birthday parties, holidays, noise. Then my marriage ended, and it just felt empty. Why did she leave? The question came out before Vivian could stop it. Too personal, too intrusive. I'm sorry, she apologized immediately, but Tyler didn't seem to mind. She said being married to me meant always being in my shadow, that everyone only cared about her because of who I was. She wanted her own identity. He took a sip of wine. She got a new husband and a lifestyle she doesn't have to work for. I'm not sure that's identity. And Noah? Collateral damage. Tyler's jaw tightened. She sees him once a month if we're lucky. Cancels half the time. He keeps hoping she'll show up, and I keep having to explain why she doesn't. That's not fair to him. No, it's not. Tyler turned to face her. Can I ask you something? Yes. The tattoo. Did you get it? Vivian's hand moved instinctively to her shoulder, then chest, even though the tattoo was hidden beneath her sweater. I did. Good. I'm glad. His gaze dropped to her shoulders, then lower, and in the next second, his eyes were locked on hers. The intensity of his eyes and the way he said his words hit her like a physical thing. Before she could respond, Noah called from inside. Pizza's ready. They ate at a kitchen table set with mismatched plates, expensive china mixed with plastic dinosaur plates, because Noah had insisted. The pizza was homemade. Surprisingly, good, and Noah narrated every topping choice like he was hosting a cooking show. I wanted pineapple, but Dad said that's controversial. Very controversial, Vivian agreed solemnly. Do you like pineapple on pizza? I'm Switzerland on this issue, Noah frowned. What's Switzerland? Neutral. I don't take sides. That's smart. Dad and I argue about it a lot. Tyler laughed. We argued about it once. You bring it up constantly. After dinner, Noah showed Vivian his room. Walls covered in glow-in-the-dark stars, books stacked precariously on every surface, a small telescope by the window that was clearly too advanced for a 7-year-old, but treasured anyway. Dad got me that for my birthday. I can see the moon really close. That's incredible. Do you want to see? Noah, it's not dark enough yet. Tyler started, but Vivian was already crossing to the window. I'd love to. She didn't see much through the telescope, except blurry sky, but Noah's excitement was contagious. He explained constellations he'd memorized, planets he wanted to visit, and theories about aliens that were surprisingly well-reasoned for a second grader. Finally, Tyler announced bedtime. Noah's face fell. But Vivian just got here? Vivian will come back another time if she wants. Say goodnight. Noah hugged her without warning. Full body, tight, the way children hug when they mean it. Vivian froze for half a second, then wrapped her arms around him. When she released him, her eyes were wet. "Good night, Noah." "Good night, Miss Stone." Tyler walked her downstairs while Noah brushed his teeth. They stood in the foyer, and suddenly the evening felt fragile. "Thank you," Tyler said quietly, "for coming, for being patient with him, for everything. I should be thanking you. I haven't had a night like this in a long time." "Then we should do it again." Vivian's heart hammered. "Tyler, I know, it's complicated. You're his teacher, I'm a parent. There are rules and boundaries and 1,000 reasons this is a terrible idea." He took a step closer. "But he likes you, Vivian. I think I do too, but hold on." He paused. "I want you to know, I've been drawn to you since the first day we met. The video." He paused again, unsure of whether to continue or not, but something in her eyes made him finish his statement. "The video was breathtaking, and yes, I deleted it because it wasn't meant for me. But I'd like you to know none of this happened because of the video. It happened before it." Vivian was mute. "I know it's too early, but I want to know, do you feel something?" "I think I do," she whispered. "That's what scares me." "Why?" "Because I don't know how to want someone without waiting for them to leave." Tyler's expression softened. "Then we go slow, or we don't go at all. Your call." Vivian should leave, should walk out the door and restore the professional distance that kept her safe. Instead, she heard herself say something she had been thinking of several times in the shower any time she remembered him or the video. "What if I don't want to leave?" Something shifted in Tyler's eyes. "Then don't." They stood in the foyer, close enough that Vivian could feel the warmth radiating from his body, could smell his cologne, something cedar and clean. "If we do this," she said carefully, "we have to be careful. My job, Noah's education, the other parents. I know. And I'm not good at this. Relationships, trusting, letting people in." "I know that too." "Then why?" "Because I'm tired of being careful," Tyler said. "I'm tired of keeping everyone at arm's length because it's safer, and I think you are too." He was right. God, he was right. Tyler closed the distance between them. The kiss was tentative at first, testing, questioning. But then Vivian's fingers twisted in his shirt, and suddenly there was nothing tentative about it. When they broke apart, both breathless, Vivian pressed her forehead to his chest. "This is a terrible idea." "Probably. We could both get hurt." "Definitely." "So why does it feel right?" Tyler's arms wrapped around her. "I don't know, but I'm willing to find out if you are." Vivian lifted her head and met his eyes. "Okay. Okay? Okay." They kissed again, softer this time, and Vivian felt something inside her begin to thaw. Something she thought had frozen permanently when Emma died. Hope. She left 20 minutes later, after they'd talked logistics, when they could see each other, how to keep it quiet, what boundaries they needed to maintain at school. Driving home, Vivian touched her lips and wondered if she'd just made the best or worst decision of her life. Her phone buzzed at a red light. "Thank you for tonight, for trusting me with this." Tyler's message read. Vivian replied, "Thank you for seeing me." "Always." She set the phone down, and for the first time in 2 years, smiled without forcing it. 3 streets away, Diane Porter sat in her car, staring at the photo she'd just taken. Vivian Stone leaving Tyler Frey's house at 9:30 on a Friday night. Diane's jaw clenched. She'd driven past on her way home from dinner, or, at least, that's what she told herself. And there was Vivian's car, parked in the driveway as she belonged there. Diane opened a new text thread. Then she closed it. Not yet. This required a strategy. Patience. But soon, Miss Stone would learn that some men were already spoken for, even if they didn't know it yet. The next 3 weeks were intoxicating and terrifying in equal measure. Vivian and Tyler saw each other in stolen moments. Coffee at 6 in the morning, 2 towns over. Late-night phone calls after Noah fell asleep. Once in Tyler's downtown office after hours where they'd made out like teenagers against floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. At school, they were scrupulously professional. No lingering glances, no private conversations. Tyler dropped Noah off and left. Vivian treated Noah exactly as she treated every other student, but Noah noticed anyway. Children always notice. One morning, he lingered at her desk after the bell rang. "Miss Stone, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Do you like my dad?" Vivian's heart stopped. "Your dad is very nice, Noah. Why do you ask?" "Because he smiles more now. He smiles when he talks about you." "We're friends, sweetheart." "Good. He needs more friends. He gets lonely." Before Vivian could respond, another student called for her help, and Noah wandered to his desk. But the conversation rattled her all day. That night, she told Tyler about it. They were in his home office, Noah asleep upstairs, city lights glittering below, and Vivian was curled in the leather chair across from his desk. "He asked if I liked you." Tyler looked up from his laptop. "What did you say?" "That we're friends." "Technically true." "Tyler, what are we doing? He's noticing. Other parents might notice. My job—" "I know." Tyler closed the laptop, came around the desk, and pulled her to her feet. "But I don't want to stop." "Neither do I, that's the problem." He kissed her forehead. "Then we'll be more careful." "What if being careful isn't enough?" "Then we'll figure it out." But Vivian couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the edge of something that would either save them or destroy them. She just didn't know which yet. The tattoo was healing beautifully. Vivian stood in front of her bathroom mirror, twisting to see the delicate bird taking flight across her shoulder blade. The skin was no longer angry red, just slightly pink, the forget-me-nots vivid against her skin. She traced it gently. Emma. Her daughter's name was never far from her thoughts, but the tattoo had changed something, made the grief feel less like drowning and more like carrying something precious. Her phone buzzed. Tyler. "Can I see it? The finished tattoo?" Vivian's breath caught. He'd seen the original video, the accident that had started everything, but this felt different. Intentional. "Vivian. Are you sure?" Tyler. "Only if you want to show me." She did. Terrifyingly, desperately, she did. Vivian. "Tomorrow night?" Tyler. "Noah's with his mom this weekend. We'd have the house to ourselves." The implication hung between them, unspoken but undeniable. This would change things. Vivian. "Okay." Tyler. "You don't have to—" Vivian. "I want to." And she did. Saturday evening, Vivian stood on Tyler's porch, heart hammering, overnight bag in hand. The door opened before she could knock. Tyler looked at her like she was something miraculous. "Hi." "Hi," she breathed. He pulled her inside and they kissed before the door even closed. Desperate, urgent, months of restraint finally breaking. They made it to the couch, then the stairs, then finally his bedroom. It was nothing as Vivian had imagined. Slow, tender, unhurried. Tyler undressed her carefully, reverently, and when he saw the tattoo, fully healed, fully visible, he traced it with his fingertips. "It's beautiful." "It hurt," Vivian whispered. "I bet." "But I needed it to." Tyler kissed the tattoo, then her shoulder, then her mouth. They made love like people who'd been starving and finally found sustenance. Afterward, wrapped in expensive sheets, Vivian felt simultaneously safe and terrified. "What was her name?" Tyler asked quietly. Vivian stiffened. "You don't have to tell me if—" "Emma." The name came out broken. Her name was Emma. Tyler's arms tightened around her. "Tell me about her." And Vivian did. She told him about Emma's laugh, loud and uninhibited, the kind of laugh that made strangers smile, about her obsession with butterflies, about the way she'd sing off-key at the top of her lungs, about the illness that came suddenly, viciously, and didn't care that Emma was only 4 and had her whole life ahead of her. She told him about the hospital, the treatments that didn't work, the moment the doctor said there was nothing more they could do. She told him about Mark, how he'd blamed her for every decision, questioned every doctor, made her feel like Emma's death was punishment for Vivian's failures as a mother. And Tyler held her through it all. When she finally stopped talking, her throat raw, her eyes swollen, Tyler kissed her forehead. She was lucky to have you. She died, and she was still lucky to have you, because you loved her completely, and that love, that still exists. Death doesn't erase it. Vivian sobbed then, ugly, full-bodied grief that she'd held back for 2 years. And Tyler didn't try to fix it, didn't tell her to stop, didn't make it about him. He just held her. For the first time since Emma died, Vivian didn't apologize for crying. They spent the weekend in Tyler's house like the outside world didn't exist. They cooked breakfast together, watched movies. Then they talked about everything and nothing, made love slowly, learning each other's bodies, each other's scars. Sunday afternoon, wrapped in one of Tyler's shirts, Vivian stood on the terrace with coffee and watched the city wake up. Tyler joined her, sliding arms around her waist from behind. "Stay," he murmured against her neck. "I am staying. I mean longer. Be here when Noah wakes up. Be part of this." Vivian's heart clenched. "Tyler, we've only been doing this for a month." "I know. I'm not saying tomorrow. I'm just saying eventually. When you're ready. There's space for you here." Vivian turned in his arms. "What if I'm never ready? Then I'll wait. What if waiting isn't enough? Then we'll figure that out too." She kissed him instead of answering, because words felt impossible. But later, driving home, doubt crept in. What if she was moving too fast? What if this was just grief trying to fill a void? What if Mark had been right about her attaching too quickly, needing too much, breaking everything she touched? Her phone buzzed. "Thank you for this weekend, for trusting me with Emma's story, for letting me see you." Vivian smiled before typing. "Thank you for not running." Tyler replied with one word. Never. She wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to believe him. Monday morning, Vivian was setting up her classroom when her phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello? Vivian." The voice was familiar and wrong. "It's Mark." Her blood turned to ice. "How did you get this number?" "I have my ways." "What do you want?" she spat. "I'm in your state for a conference. I thought we could talk." "We have nothing to talk about." "I'm making amends, Viv. Therapy, you know. Step 9, I owe you an apology." "You owe me a lot more than that." "I know. That's why I want to see you. Please. Just coffee. 1 hour." Every instinct screamed no. But part of her, the part that still carried his voice in her head, still questioned herself, still wondered if maybe he'd been right. That part needed to hear what he had to say. 1 hour, that's it. "Thank you. Tomorrow, 3 o'clock, location of your choice?" "Fine." She hung up before he could say anything else. Her hands were shaking. She didn't tell Tyler. The cafe she chose was crowded, anonymous, and safe. Mark was already there when Vivian arrived. Older, softer around the edges, wedding ring glinting on his left hand. He stood when he saw her. "Vivian, you look good." She didn't sit. "You have 1 hour. Talk." He gestured to the chair. She sat reluctantly. "I was cruel to you," Mark started. "After Emma died, I blamed you for things that weren't your fault. I was grieving too, and I took it out on you. That was wrong. I'm sorry." The words sounded rehearsed. Therapy speak. "Okay. Is that all you're going to say?" "What do you want me to say, Mark? That it's fine? That I forgive you?" I want you to let me explain. You just did. He leaned forward. You seem different, lighter. Are you seeing someone? That's none of your business. I hope you're being careful. His expression shifted, concern that felt condescending. You have a tendency to dive in too deep, too fast. Remember when Emma would hum that song from Frozen? Let It Go. You'd sing it to her every night, and she'd giggle every time you hit the high note wrong. Vivian's breath caught. That memory was precious, private, and Mark was wielding it like a weapon. I miss her too, he continued softly. Every day. I was so angry after she died that I couldn't see past my own pain to see yours. That was wrong. For a moment, just a moment, Vivian almost believed him. Then he kept talking. I just worry that you're replacing her. New life, new relationship, probably. It's a pattern, Viv. You attach too quickly to fill the void. I'd hate to see you hurt again when you realize nothing can replace her. And there it was. The manipulation dressed up as care. Vivian stood. We're done here. Viv, I'm trying to help. No. You're trying to make yourself feel better by convincing me I'm still broken. But I'm not. I'm healing. And you don't get to take that from me. She left before he could respond. But his words followed her home, burrowed into her brain, and took root. What if he was right? What if she was just using Tyler to fill the void Emma left? What if she was attaching too quickly, needing too much, setting herself up for another devastating loss? That night, she didn't answer Tyler's calls or his texts. She sat in her apartment staring at the tattoo in the mirror and wondered if she'd made a terrible mistake. If you're on the edge of your seat wondering whether Vivian and Tyler can survive this, hit that subscribe button. I promise you, the next part of this story will break your heart and put it back together again. Also, drop a comment and let me know. Are you Team Tyler or Team Vivian needs to heal alone first? I want to know what you think. Now, let's see what happens when Tyler shows up at her door. Tyler showed up at her door on Wednesday night. She'd ignored his messages for 3 days, canceled their plans, stopped responding. When she opened the door, his expression was careful. What happened? Nothing. Vivian, I just need some space. Space from what? From me? From this? She couldn't look at him. I think we should stop before this gets worse. Worse than what? Being happy. I'm not built for this, Tyler. I loved someone once, and she died. I loved someone else, and he broke me. I can't... So you're going to break us first, before life gets the chance? I'm protecting you. Bullshit. Tyler's voice was harsh now. You're protecting yourself. Maybe I need to. From what? From me? I'm not Mark, Vivian. I won't blame you for things you can't control, but I also won't stay where I'm not chosen. The words hit like a slap. What does that mean? It means I'm falling in love with you, and I need to know if you're even willing to try, because I've been in a marriage where I wasn't enough. I won't do that again. Vivian's throat closed. I don't know if I can be what you need. I'm not asking you to be anything but honest. Do you want this, or don't you? The question hung between them, enormous and impossible. I'm terrified, she whispered finally. That's not an answer. I know. Tyler stared at her for a long moment. Then he nodded once, gave her a small peck, asked her to think about it, then turned and walked away. He didn't slam the door, just left. Quietly. Completely. Vivian stood in her empty apartment, shaking, and realized she'd just destroyed the best thing in her life. Again. Vivian didn't sleep that night. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, Tyler's words echoing in her head like an accusation. I won't stay where I'm not chosen. He deserved better than her cowardice. Noah deserved better. Hell, she deserved better. But knowing that didn't make the fear disappear. At 4 in the morning, she gave up on sleep and made coffee, sat at her kitchen table, traced the tattoo on her shoulder through her shirt, and tried to remember why she'd gotten it in the first place. Permission to remember, permission to survive without self-blame, permission to be whole again. But wholeness required risk, required vulnerability, required choosing to want things even when wanting meant the possibility of loss. Emma's face floated through her memory. Bright eyes, that ridiculous off-key singing, the way she'd grab Vivian's hand and say, "Come on, Mom, adventure time." Emma had never been afraid of wanting things. When had Vivian become so terrified of it? Her phone sat silent on the table. No messages from Tyler. No missed calls. He'd meant what he said. He wouldn't chase her. Wouldn't beg. He'd offered himself completely, and she'd rejected it out of fear. The realization felt like drowning. She picked up her phone, typed and deleted a dozen messages, and finally settled on, "I'm sorry. Can we talk?" She stared at it for 10 minutes. Deleted it. What could she possibly say that would undo the damage? School the next morning was agony. Vivian moved through the routine on autopilot. Attendance, morning meeting, math lesson. But her mind was elsewhere. Tyler didn't come to the drop-off. Noah arrived with a woman Vivian didn't recognize, probably a nanny or babysitter. Noah's usual brightness was dimmed. He didn't bounce to his desk, didn't show her his latest Lego creation. Just sat quietly, pulled out his pencil, and waited for instructions. At lunch, he approached her desk. "Miss Stone? Is my dad mad at you?" Vivian's heart cracked. Why would you think that? He's been sad, like when Mom first left. He tries to hide it, but I can tell. "I'm sure he's fine, sweetheart." "Did you have a fight?" "Noah. Because if you did, you should say sorry. That's what Dad always tells me. Say sorry, mean it, and try to fix it." Out of the mouths of babes. Vivian blinked back tears. That's very wise advice. "So will you?" "I'll try." Noah nodded, satisfied, and went back to his desk. Vivian sat very still, hands pressed flat against her desk, and realized she'd been given her answer by a 7-year-old child. Say sorry, mean it, try to fix it. But before she could act on it, everything fell apart. Friday afternoon, Principal Carroll called her into his office. Vivian knew immediately something was wrong. His expression was too careful, too measured. "Vivian, please sit." She sat. "I need to ask you something directly, and I need you to be honest with me." He slid a printed photo across the desk. Vivian leaving Tyler's house. 9:30 at night. Clear as day. Her stomach dropped. "Are you romantically involved with Mr. Tyler Frey?" The question hung in the air like a guillotine blade. Vivian could lie, could claim it was just a parent meeting, a tutoring session, anything but the truth. But she was so tired of lying. "Yes, we've been seeing each other outside of school. There's been no impact on Noah's education, no favoritism, nothing. Inappropriate during school hours." Carol held up a hand. "Vivian, you know the policy. Parent-teacher relationships with current students' parents create conflicts of interest. And frankly, given Tyler's profile and his financial support of this school, this puts us in a very difficult position. I haven't done anything wrong. Maybe not legally, but perception matters. I've received a formal complaint from another parent expressing concerns about professional boundaries and potential favoritism. Until I can conduct a proper investigation, I'm placing you on temporary administrative leave." The words felt unreal. "You're suspending me for dating someone?" "I'm following protocol. If the investigation clears you, you'll be reinstated. But right now, I need to protect the school's reputation and the integrity of our parent-teacher relationships." "Who filed the complaint?" Carol hesitated. "I can't disclose that." But Vivian already knew. Diane. She was the only parent who was watching her like a hawk ever since the first day, not to mention the subtle shades here and there. "This is ridiculous. Tyler and I have been nothing but professional at school. Our personal relationship has zero impact on... That may be true, but I have to investigate. You're excused from your duties, effective immediately. I'll be in touch. Vivian walked out of that office in a daze, collected her things from her classroom, and drove home on autopilot. She'd lost her job, or might lose it, because she dared to want something. Mark's voice echoed in her head. You ruin everything you touch. She sat in her car in her apartment parking lot and finally broke. She didn't tell Tyler, couldn't face him, couldn't admit that he'd been right to walk away, that she was poison, that everything she touched turned to ash. For 3 days, she ignored his calls, his texts. The knock on her door that came on Tuesday evening and went unanswered. Zoe showed up on Wednesday morning and found Vivian still in bed at noon. Okay, what the hell happened? Vivian told her everything. The suspension, the complaint, Tyler, Mark, all of it. Zoe listened without interrupting, then said, So let me get this straight. You're in love with a good man who loves you back, and instead of fighting for it, you're hiding in bed feeling sorry for yourself. I got suspended, Zoe, for doing nothing wrong, and you're cleared to come back once the investigation proves that, which it will. What if it doesn't? Then you get a job somewhere else. But either way, you don't let Diane Porter or Mark or your own fear take away your happiness. What if I'm not meant to be happy? Zoe grabbed her shoulders. Listen to me. Emma died. That was tragic and unfair and not your fault. Mark was abusive, also not your fault. But this, pushing away a man who loves you because you're scared, that is your fault. And you're better than this. The words landed like a punch. I don't know how to fix it. Start by getting out of bed, then call Tyler, then fight like hell for what you want. What if he doesn't want me anymore? Then at least you tried, but I guarantee he's sitting in his house right now, heartbroken, wondering the same thing about you. Something in Vivian's chest cracked open. Zoe was right. She'd spent 2 years protecting herself from pain by refusing to want anything. But that wasn't survival. That was a slow death. Emma had lived 4 years, bright, fearless, full of joy. She'd never been afraid to want things, to love things, to throw herself into life completely. When had Vivian forgotten that lesson? She looked at her tattoo in the mirror. The bird mid-flight, the forget-me-nots blooming. Freedom, remembrance, survival. But what was survival if you weren't actually living? She picked up her phone with shaking hands and called Tyler. It rang 4 times. She almost hung up. Then, Vivian. His voice was careful, guarded. I'm sorry, she said immediately. I'm so sorry. I got scared and I pushed you away and I know about the suspension. Her breath caught. How? Carol called me, asked if there'd been any inappropriate contact during school hours, any evidence of favoritism with Noah. I told him no, told him we'd been careful, professional, that our relationship had nothing to do with Noah's education. Tyler, I also told him that if he didn't reinstate you, I'd pull Noah from the school and withdraw all financial support, which would cost them roughly $3 million in funding. Vivian's eyes filled with tears. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did, because you did nothing wrong, and I won't let them punish you for something we both chose. I'm sorry I pushed you away. Silence on the other end. Then, are you still pushing? No, I'm done running. I'm done being scared. I choose you, Tyler. I choose us, if you'll still have me. More silence. Vivian's heart hammered. Then, Noah's asking about you every day. He wants to know when you're coming back. When I told him you might not be his teacher anymore, he cried. Tyler! I told him I'd try to fix it, but I can't fix something if you won't meet me halfway. I'm here. I'm meeting you. I'm doing whatever it takes. Then come over, tonight. Let's talk. Really talk. Okay, what time? Now. Come now. Vivian grabbed her keys. Tyler opened the door before she could knock, and for a moment they just stared at each other. Then Vivian closed the distance and kissed him. Desperate, apologetic, full of everything she couldn't put into words. "I'm sorry," she said against his mouth. "I'm so sorry." "I know. Mark got in my head, told me I was replacing Emma, that I attached too quickly, that I ruin everything. He's wrong. But what if he's not? What if I'm just broken in ways I can't see?" Tyler cupped her face. "Then I'll love you broken, but you have to let me. You have to choose this, Vivian. Choose me. Choose us. Every single day." "I do. I am. Even when it's scary? Especially when it's scary." He kissed her again, and this time it felt like a promise. Upstairs, a small voice called out, "Dad, is that Vivian?" Tyler smiled against her lips. "Yeah, buddy, it's Vivian." "Can she come up here?" They climbed the stairs together. Noah was in his pajamas, supposedly in bed, very clearly still awake. When he saw Vivian, his entire face lit up. "You came back." "I did." "Are you and Dad friends again?" Vivian looked at Tyler. He nodded. "We are. We had a disagreement, but we talked about it. And we're going to try to do better." Noah considered this. "That's good. Dad's been really sad." "I know. I'm sorry." "It's okay. Everyone makes mistakes. That's what Dad always tells me." Vivian sat on the edge of his bed. "You're very wise, Noah." "I know." He grinned. "Are you going to be my teacher again?" "I hope so. We're working on it." "Good, because Miss Roberts doesn't let us have extra recess, and you do." Tyler laughed. "All right, buddy. Time for sleep. For real this time." "Okay. Night, Vivian." "Good night, Noah." They left him with his glow-in-the-dark stars and went back downstairs. In Tyler's living room, surrounded by Noah's Legos and family photos, Vivian felt something settle inside her. This was what she wanted. This messy, complicated, beautiful life. "The investigation should wrap up next week," Tyler said. "Carol told me off the record that there's no evidence of misconduct. You'll be reinstated." "What about Diane?" "I handled it." "Tyler!" "I went to her house, told her I knew she filed the complaint, told her to back off." "What did she say?" "That you weren't right for me, that you were broken, grieving, unstable." His jaw tightened. "I told her she had no idea what she was talking about, and that if she pushed this further, I'd make sure everyone knew exactly why she filed that complaint." "You threatened her?" "I protected you. There's a difference." Vivian didn't know whether to be horrified or touched. "I can fight my own battles, Tyler." "I know, but you don't have to. Not alone, not anymore." She kissed him instead of arguing. They spent the rest of the evening on the couch, talking about everything. The investigation, Mark, their fears, their hopes, planning how to move forward carefully, intentionally, together. At midnight, and Tyler walked her to her car. "Stay," he said. "Noah's asleep. We could—" "I want to," Vivian interrupted. "But I think I need to do this right. Slow. Build something sustainable instead of just reacting to the crisis." Tyler nodded. "Okay. But you'll come back?" "Every time you'll have me." "Then I'll see you tomorrow." She drove home feeling lighter than she had in years. The investigation concluded the following week, exactly as Tyler predicted. No evidence of misconduct, no favoritism, no inappropriate behavior. Vivian was reinstated. Diane's complaint was dismissed. And life moved forward. 3 months later, Vivian stood in her classroom after school, organizing supplies and humming unconsciously. Noah was at his desk, drawing. Tyler leaned against the doorframe, watching them both with an expression Vivian couldn't quite read. "What?" she asked, smiling. "Nothing, just this. You." "Me what?" "Happy. You look happy." She was. Terrifyingly, completely happy. "I am." Noah looked up from his drawing. Can we go get ice cream? You promised that if I finished my math homework. I did promise that. Vivian glanced at Tyler. You coming? Wouldn't miss it. They walked to the ice cream shop 3 blocks away. The kind of small-town place with mismatched chairs and flavors named after local landmarks. Noah ordered something bright blue and probably 70% sugar. Tyler got vanilla. Vivian got chocolate. They sat outside as the sun set, Noah chattering about his day, and Vivian felt a pang of something she'd thought she'd never feel again. Not quite happy. Not quite peace. Something softer. Something like home. Later, after they'd dropped Noah at his mother's for the weekend, a visit that actually happened this time, Tyler and Vivian returned to his house. I have something for you, he said, leading her to his office. Tyler, you don't have to keep buying me. It's not a gift. Well, it is, but not like that. He handed her a small jewelry box. Inside was a delicate silver bracelet with a single charm, a tiny bird in flight. Tyler, I know it's not the same as your tattoo, but I wanted you to have something you could see every day, a reminder that you survived, that you're free. Vivian's eyes filled with tears. It's perfect. He fastened it around her wrist, and she traced the tiny bird with her finger. Thank you. There's more. He showed her his forearm, where a fresh bandage covered his skin. What did you do? He unwrapped it carefully. A small tattoo, Noah's initials and birthday, with a tiny bird flying above them. Vivian's bird. Her breath caught. Tyler, I wanted to carry something permanent, a reminder that some things are worth the risk. You taught me that. She traced it gently. When did you get it? Yesterday, while Noah was at school. I wanted to show you first. It's beautiful. It hurt, but you were right. The pain is part of the point. They stood in his office, city lights glittering below, and Vivian felt something shift. I think I'm ready, she said quietly. Ready for what? For whatever comes next? With you, with Noah, all of it. Tyler pulled her close. You sure? I'm terrified, but I'm sure. Then let's do it. Together. They kissed as the city sparkled below them, 2 broken people choosing wholeness together. 6 months later, Vivian moved into Tyler's house. Not because she had to. Not because Tyler pushed. Because she wanted to. Noah helped her unpack, excitedly showing her where everything should go, claiming her presence as she'd always belonged there. That night, the 3 of them sat on the back terrace. City lights spread below like fallen stars. Vivian? Noah's voice was small in the darkness. Yeah, buddy. Are you going to stay forever? Vivian looked at Tyler. He reached for her hand and squeezed gently. I'm going to try, she said honestly. I can't promise forever, but I promise to be here as long as you'll have me. That's good enough. Noah snuggled between them. Because I like having you here. I like being here. Later, after Noah had fallen asleep on the couch and Tyler had carried him to bed, Vivian stood at the terrace railing, touching the bird charm on her bracelet. Tyler joined her, sliding his arms around her waist. What are you thinking? That I spent 2 years being afraid to want anything, and now I want everything. Is that scary? Terrifying. But you're doing it anyway? Yeah, I am. Tyler kissed her temple. I'm proud of you. For what? For choosing to live again. For choosing us. For not letting fear win. Vivian turned in his arms. You know it's not going to be perfect, right? I'm going to have bad days. Days when grief hits me out of nowhere. Days when I'm scared and irrational and... I know. And you're still in. I'm still in. Bad days and all. She kissed him, soft, grateful, full of promise. Behind them, through the window, Noah's drawing was pinned to the refrigerator. My family. 3 figures holding hands. Tyler, Noah, and Vivian. No empty spaces. just wholeness, chosen intentionally, built slowly, earned through vulnerability and risk. Vivian touched her tattoo through her shirt, the bird mid-flight, the forget-me-nots blooming. For the first time in years, she understood what it meant. Freedom wasn't the absence of pain. It was choosing to live fully despite it. 1 year later, on the anniversary of Emma's death, Vivian woke up with Tyler's arms around her and Noah's small body wedged between them. The grief was still there, would always be there, but it wasn't the only thing anymore. She slipped out of bed carefully, went to the bathroom, and looked at her tattoo in the mirror. Then she pulled out her phone and texted Zoe. "I think I'm ready for another one." Zoe replied, "Another what?" Vivian typed, "Tattoo, something new. Not to replace Emma, just to mark this, moving forward." Zoe sent a screaming sticker then. "Finally! What are you thinking?" Vivian traced the bird on her shoulder, then looked at the bracelet on her wrist, then at the photo of the three of them on the bathroom counter. Tyler, Noah, and her, laughing at something Noah had said. Vivian's reply was, "I don't know yet, but I'll know when I'm ready." She set the phone down and rejoined Tyler and Noah in bed. Tyler stirred, pulled her close. "You okay?" "Yeah, I'm okay." He kissed her forehead, understanding without needing explanation. Noah mumbled something in his sleep about dinosaurs, and Vivian closed her eyes, surrounded by the family she'd chosen and the family that had chosen her back. The grief would never disappear, but neither would the love. And somehow, impossibly, beautifully, there was enough room in her heart for both. And here is my question to you all. Is healing about forgetting the people we've lost, or about learning to carry them with us while still reaching for new love? Vivian spent 2 years believing that safety meant wanting nothing, that survival meant shutting down, that loving again would somehow betray the daughter she'd lost. But Emma didn't die, so Vivian could stop living. Some of you watching this have lost someone, a parent, a child, a love you thought would last forever. And maybe you've built walls too. Maybe you've convinced yourself that wanting less means hurting less. But here's the truth Vivian learned. Grief doesn't punish us for moving forward. We punish ourselves. The real betrayal isn't loving someone new. It's refusing to let yourself be loved because you're terrified of losing again. So ask yourself, what are you not letting yourself want because you're afraid of the cost? Vivian got her tattoo, a permanent mark that said, "I survived." But the real mark of her healing wasn't the ink on her skin. It was Noah's hand in hers, Tyler's arms around her, the choice she made every single day to keep showing up, even when it was terrifying. Because that's what courage actually is. Not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward anyway. If the people you've lost could see you now, would they want you to keep hiding? Or would they want you to live so fully that your joy becomes their legacy? Think about that. If this story moved you, leave a comment. Tell me what you're choosing to want despite the fear. Because we're all Vivian in some way. We've all lost something we can't get back. And we all have to decide whether we're going to let that loss define us or honor it by living anyway. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And remember, the bird always flies forward, even when it's scared, especially when it's scared